Today's guest is Detzany, an artist out of Salt Lake, Utah. With a show-stopping voice, Detzany's become an artist to watch in her local scene. Welcome, Detzany.
Hey,
Hey.
thanks for coming on and talking to me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. So let's start back at the beginning. Where were you born and raised, and how did music first come into your life?
So I was actually born and raised in Utah County, in a small town called Cedar Hills. It's by Alpine. And I just how I music came into my life, basically, right?
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So I I really didn't talk when I was little, which which is funny. And growing up in kindergarten and like first grade, my teachers thought I had like a speaking disability. And when I got introduced to music, I like mimicked songs here and there. And I came up to my mom this one day. I was like 6, and she said, like, I said, hey, I want to like sing you a song. I learned this song on YouTube,
yeah.
and it was Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, nice.
And that was like the actual first sentence, like words I sang through was a sentence.
Oh,
So yeah, that's how I got introduced to music. And from there, we never went back. My mom got me into vocal lessons and performing a lot. And yeah.
that's awesome. Is your family musical at all?
No, actually, which is funny because I feel like a lot of artists, like their family is like mostly musical, but
Yeah,
me, it's like the opposite. We're very like artistic, creative family, but no.
interesting. What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Ooh, so much. I would say like a lot of classics like Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, Beyonce, obviously.
Yeah,
um, and then I went from like a lot of oldies like Beatles, Queen, a lot of indie folk music, especially like local artists like Joshua James, Isaac Russell, Bon Iver, and then like evolved to alternative indie rock. And I went to a lot of concerts during middle school and high school. And then I got introduced to like lo-fi hip hop and rap in like high school, and more like R&B. So yeah, my music influence is like kind of everywhere, but
that's awesome. That's a big spread. That's cool.
yeah.
So you started singing when you were 6. Did you continue to sing at that point? Or was that like the start of everything for you? Or how did that go? Like, when did you find your voice?
I feel like that was the start of everything. That's when I really like found my voice, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, this is what I want to do and I should really utilize this gift. And yeah, I just was in like music competitions, singing competitions, and yeah, just put myself more out there when I was little. Yeah, so that was like the beginning of everything.
What was the driving force behind all that? I guess to want to perform, to want to learn how to use a voice better.
I don't know, like I really had this like vision, um, that I really just wanted to get better each and every day. I would actually like avoid like hang out with friends when I was little because I would just be like disciplined, like just vocal exercises,
Wow,
like learning as much as I could. I actually was self-taught like first hand, and I just would research a lot of vocal lesson YouTube videos and then that's where I like transitioned to getting more vocal coaches and like one-on-one in person. So
that's amazing. I mean, it sounds like you're pretty disciplined even from a young age. I mean, that's kind of rare.
yeah.
Yeah, and I guess it pays off. You have a great voice now, and like clearly, I mean, your music's all centered around it. So that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, what age did you start writing, and then what about performing? When did those first come into your life?
Yeah, so performing came when I was like around 12. Actually, the first performance I did was I think I was 10. It was like the talent show in elementary
Nice.
school. That was like the very first performance. And then from there, I would just do like singing competitions. I would do wherever like would get me out there. It would be like events or like weddings. Um
Were you nervous
and
when you first started?
I
And
I I guess like I don't know, like because like my family, like my sisters would be like, "Hey, can you sing for us?" And like I would just do it. And I think the fear just like kind of dissipated over time. And so it was just like nature to just
cool.
perform.
Yeah. And then what about writing? When did you first start making your own music?
I actually started writing, I think the very first song I wrote when I was like 8.
Oh wow.
And it was like a very cheesy like song.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like would write here and there. And then once I like realized, oh, like I should really write my songs, I think I was 16. And that's when I started taking songwriting classes. And yeah, I took it more seriously. So
That's so cool. Was there like an instrument you wanted to learn to be able to write songs with, or did instruments come into your life, or did you just like go off vocal melodies? How'd that work?
yeah, so I actually started like playing guitar here and there. I think I was like probably 14. Um, and yeah, I did take like lessons. So I do play the guitar, but I don't perform with the guitar. I don't know, because I feel like singing is like the focus, and it's kind of hard when you're like a singer, but like it's practice to like play with the guitar and sing. So
Yeah, that's awesome though. So what has it been like recording your own songs? Like what's the process been for you? Do you record with have you like self-recorded? Do you go to a studio? How's that been?
it really depends. Lately I've actually been recording with a few producers. So I do have my own setup, and yeah, so like lately I've been working with a lot of producers and just recording at their home studios, or even like coming up with rough drafts at my home studio and then bringing it over to them, and then we just like collaborate.
That's awesome. So is music always collaborative at this point for you? Or do you ever like just take things for yourself, or how does that go?
So I feel like I really did like started like doing things by myself like during quarantine. Um, and that's when I realized, oh, okay, like I really want to focus more on like producing. I actually like graduated high school early and studied at UVU for vocal performance and production.
Nice.
And that's when I started like really utilizing like producing for myself and just coming up with melodies and ideas. And so yeah, I feel like now lately it's been more collaborative since I've been like finding a lot more producers, and
Yeah.
it's cool to collaborate with other producers because both of your ideas can just like come to life.
Yeah. That's really cool. What
Yeah.
about playing live? Have you been able to play your own songs live much, or how's that been for you?
So actually before the pandemic, I was like gonna be playing a lot of shows. So I did play at like Velour, and then it was like music vineyard nights, and oh my gosh, it was this other um they're all over the world. It's kind of like NPR Tiny Desk, but
Oh, nice.
they just opened one in Salt Lake. But that wasn't able to happen because of the pandemic. But I've been able to do virtual shows here and there, which I'm very lucky. And so yeah.
That's awesome. What do you hope to do live after, the whole pandemic thing kind of settles out and gets back to normal?
I really hope to play more live shows because I love playing with my band. We actually met each other at school, which was pretty cool.
Nice.
And yeah, do a lot more like I definitely want to do like an album release like party, or just go to more events where I can meet new people in person, and see more live shows. So
Yeah. What's your vision for your live set? I mean, some people, they prefer the whole tracks way where you have electronic sounds in the back. Some people prefer just like the whole organic thing. What's your vision for it for yourself?
for my music,
Yeah, for your, like playing your own songs.
yeah, I would say like my vision, like when you say like tracks and like organic, like what do
Yeah,
you?
like so like backing tracks where you have like an earpiece and it plays the backing track in your
Mm-hmm.
ear. But some people would just prefer to like stick to just a normal live band with just like guitars and drums and stuff. How do you feel like your approach to playing your music live will be? Like
Mm-hmm.
moving it from the studio version to the live version?
Oh yeah, I actually, which is cool. So I guess like I actually really experienced how to do like those type of like performances in school. We actually had like, I know there was like a band, we did, well they did like tracks and live
Yeah,
band, and I definitely do want to go down that route. So I feel like that's just like the next level, and when I see like other big artists like do that, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so
yeah,
cool,
that's
because it
amazing.
sounds so cool like with the track and live. So
Yeah, that's really cool. So, how would you say what's something you've learned about yourself through your experience as an artist? Like over the years, what's something you've personally had to go through to like develop?
ooh, that's a deep question. I feel like actually like when I really really had to learn, and so I was actually 12 years old, and I lost my sister to cancer. I was in 7th grade, and I feel like that just like turned my world upside down, and I was really forced to push my emotions aside and like go on with life because I was going to school as well, and I didn't want people to worry about me. And so that's when I really like had to learn during that time. During those years, I lost 2 friends to suicide,
Oh, wow.
and that's like when you deal with death at such a young age, it really changes your view on life. And so I feel like that's what I when I really really learned. You know, I want to keep their legacies going and write more songs about them, which I am currently doing.
Yeah,
And I want to spread a message that, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, even though it's like cliche, like
yeah,
it's really true.
yeah. It's so true.
And, no matter how much you go through, like, the people that were by my side during those hard times, like, I'm still hanging out with them like till this day, and like my family, which are so important to me. And so, yeah, I feel like that's when I really like had to learn throughout my life that really influences in my music and my story that I want to portray. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. Do you still feel like even though those were several years ago, it's still a part
mhm.
of your music today? And like, does it still come to mind on a normal basis? I guess that drives you.
Oh yeah. I feel like when you lose someone you really love, like it's like a scar on you, and you never forget about them, and you still have to live with it, even though if it hurts, even though if there's good or bad days. It's really what drives me in my music, still this to today. So yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I
Thank
mean, and I
you.
have to imagine that when you lose stuff, you start to be more grateful for the things that you do have. What's something that you've just grown to be very grateful for having through this experience? Yeah,
Music, I am so grateful. It's got me through everything. It's so cool how music can bring you back to a certain moment in your life or just give nostalgic memories to you. And yeah, I feel like it's such a beautiful thing. And it's such a universal language.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you played a few shows around here. You've been performing for most of your life, and you said that you used to listen to local artists. Actually,
Hmm.
how was your experience been with the Utah local music scene? Like, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I feel like it's definitely evolved. From the first local concert that I went to, it was Joshua James, and um, it's really evolved from like indie folk music to like more all types of music, which is pretty cool. Like even from what I've seen, there's just been such a cool like collectives coming out and all types of genres of music. So I feel like it's definitely evolving. And even during the pandemic, I've heard like a lot of people from California have been moving to Utah. And so like even like Silicon Slopes. So I feel like there's definitely a lot of potential here.
Yeah, yeah. Something we hear a lot is just how much talent Utah's packed with. I mean, there's
Oh
not like
yeah.
business side as like LA has, but the
Hmm.
talent here is just insane, like per block and everything.
Yeah, like even like actually a lot of dancers, like friends that I know, come from Utah. And yeah, it's like I've had a friend's sister, she like danced with J-Lo on her
Wow.
concerts tour. And another dear friend that actually performed in Rihanna's Fenty show. So there's so much talent here.
Yeah, it's amazing. And sometimes people don't know about it. It's like if you're
Oh
in this,
yeah.
you sometimes do, but otherwise it kind of slips under. And yeah, it's crazy. There's so much of it.
Yeah, it's like so underground, but like yeah.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. So, what vision do you have for yourself? Like, who do you want to be as an artist going forward in the future?
um I definitely want to be able to touch people with my music, be able to inspire people with the messages in my music. And it's cool because I actually saw this one interview with Billie Eilish and Phineas, and they make music so they can like hear it and enjoy it.
Yeah,
And that's a cool thing about being an independent artist because I get to make music like whatever I want to. I don't have creative control over me.
yeah,
And so I feel like for my vision, I definitely want to be on world, like a world level, and be able to tour all over the world, and collaborate with my favorite artists that I've always
yeah,
wanted to um, collaborate with. And yeah, that's my vision. And like definitely like down the road, even probably get signed to like an indie label, or even just it'd be so cool for a lot of people to just vibe with my music.
yeah.
So
That's awesome. Do you not want to be signed by like a major label? Like, are you insistent on staying independent? What are your thoughts on that?
um I don't know, it just really depends. I definitely want to be at that point where like a lot of labels are just knocking at my door.
Mm.
Because I know that like Russ, do you know who Russ
Yeah, yeah.
is?
Does everything himself. Yeah,
So I've just heard that he got like a half deal with his label. And yeah, I feel like it just really depends on the deal. And the cool thing about like indie labels or like labels just in general, like they definitely have a lot of resources and connections.
yeah,
um so yeah, and I definitely feel like independent like labels or having being an independent artist is definitely the future. um yeah, it's cool because I've seen a lot of like people I know just doing all themselves with their team, because I feel like having a team is like so important,
Yeah,
like
for
being an
sure.
artist.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like even Russ, you know, he makes all his own songs and stuff like that. He still needs people to run the business end. He needs people to do,
Hmm.
you know, the promo and all that stuff. So
Oh
it's so
yeah.
important to have a team.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. Do you see yourself staying in Utah, you know, even as you continue to get bigger?
Um, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
I definitely, I'm not a fan of the weather here. But I feel like right now I do want to start out in Utah, and expand. It would be cool to even like live somewhere like humid and warm.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. I feel like yeah, I probably would move out of Utah eventually. So
Yeah, that makes sense. What advice would you give to new artists who are just starting out?
I would say just start.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people reach out to me. They're like, "How do you songwrite? Like, how do you even like where do you get your inspiration from?" And it's literally just like sometimes so many artists are so in their head that the only action you needed to take is just to do it. And that will take you places, of even just taking that first step of making a song. And even though if the song will is going to be like the first song you'll ever make, like it's just the worst song ever, at least you made a song. And out of the hundreds of songs that you'll do, one of them will be a hit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. And to just keep getting better, you know, just have to
Oh
start
yeah.
somewhere. I mean, some people,
Yeah, for
I think they
sure.
put so much pressure on themselves. They have to be so
Hmm.
good out of the bat. Like they have their vision for what they want to be. And they expect to be that right away. But
Yeah,
no,
I
it's just one step
feel
at a time.
definitely. I feel like a lot of artists are like such perfectionists that it gets in the way of your creativity.
Yeah,
So,
totally true. So what do you have coming up for that you're excited for?
I am eventually working on an album. I'm really excited to be just working with these producers I've been working with. And yeah, I feel like I've definitely found my sound, and it's evolving still. So I'm really excited to show the world like the songs I've been working on.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I know some people like to release like singles while they're finding your sound, like you were talking about.
Hmm.
So would you say you
Yeah.
found your sound enough to say I'm ready to commit to a full LP?
Yeah, I've actually been releasing singles for like a year now. So the beginning of 2020, I've been releasing a song each month. Um, and I feel like that's really pushed me, and to realize, okay, like this works, this doesn't work, this is what I like. And so I feel like I've really found my direction on in my music.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm excited to hear whatever comes out, you know, hopefully soon.
Yeah, thank
I think you
you.
got a great voice and I think it's really going to take off. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, thank you so much.